They didn't hesitate. They came up with a plan. They entered that classroom and they took care of the situation as quickly as they possibly could.
Reportedly, there has been no criminal history identified yet. He may have had a juvenile record, but that is yet to be determined. There was no known mental health history of the gunman.
Let us pray that God cradles those broken families in the palm of his hand. But let us also pray to use the will and courage God gives each of us to act united with common sense to protect our children.
And a good morning to you. It is Thursday, May 26th.
Thanks for joining us. Justin Horn is standing by with your forecast, but first.
It will be another day of investigation and another day of mourning in Uvalde. The shockwaves continue after Tuesday's mass shooting.
Katrina Weber is live outside Robb Elementary School where there is a new symbol of pain people are feeling. Katrina.
Good morning. You can see that right over my shoulder. 21 crosses there, each bearing the name of the victim, along with balloons and flowers. Now, according to a DPS trooper, those crosses are the handiwork of a local man. The other mementos come from people in the area who wanted to pay their respects. We also have learned more about what happened both inside and outside that building Tuesday afternoon. For the first time yesterday, authorities revealed that all of those who were killed were inside one classroom. They say the 18-year-old gunman had fired at a security officer outside the building. Then once he made his way inside, he shot at 2 DPS troopers before locking himself in a classroom with students and teachers. Again, all 21 of those who were killed, 19 children, 2 teachers, were inside that one classroom. The shooter was killed by law enforcement officers. Now, all told, investigators say this rampage went on for about 40 minutes to an hour. But of course, the pain from this may last a lifetime. And again, one look at that display tells you exactly how people here are feeling. The trooper who I talked to says that the man who made those crosses started about 8 o'clock yesterday morning, worked on them all day long, and then finally brought them out here late last night around 10 o'clock. Reporting live in Uvalde, Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Katrina. When it comes to giving blood, many people have already stepped up to meet the need, but more is still needed. That's because these victims have a long road of recovery ahead. That could include multiple surgeries, procedures that could continue over weeks or longer. The blood has a shelf life, so what people donate now will be used. Even without tragedy, blood donations are needed for other traumas or surgeries. Take a listen to why these donors decided to give.
You know, I have a second grader, so I can't imagine, getting a call and, something happening to my son. So I just kind of want to do what, I feel like I should do, and that's be here and donate blood.
We camp every year down in Uvalde, my whole family. So it's kind of, it feels real close to us, Just come down and get it done. I've been on the fence for a while, and I keep saying I'm going to come and I'm going to come. And I didn't take the time to do it. Now, because of a tragedy, I said I have to go now.
A friend of mine life was saved by O-positive male donor blood. If you can, do. It's a personal thing, but if you can, do.
Well, there are 2 places you can donate, the South Texas Blood and Tissue Center and University Hospital. You need to make appointments for both. That university appointments are booked for the next 2 weeks. But what you can do right now is go online and make an appointment for a time after that.
We continue to remember the victims of this shooting online at KSAT.com. Pictures are being released daily, and stories about the victims continue to come into our newsroom. You can follow all this coverage online right now at KSAT.com.
All right, we're going to take a look at the weather today. Justin, yesterday we had some pretty significant storms overnight. I checked my rain gauge. I had just under an inch of rain.
Yeah, it was great to see that rain. That has all since shifted out, and now we're dealing with some pretty calm temperatures this morning. Feels good out there. We've got 50s and 60s on the map this morning. We haven't seen much of this so far this month. Enjoy it, because these temperatures are only going to go from here. 60 degrees right now, 52 Kerrville, 59 in Hondo. Not very May-like this morning. We will certainly take it. 67 Canyon Lake, 58 right now in New Braunfels. It's 58 over there at Randolph as well. Do need to pass this along. Today is one of those ozone action days, meaning the air quality is in the unhealthy category for those who are sensitive to that kind of thing. Asthma, if you have asthma or you're sensitive to ozone, just a heads up today. It's one of those situations. Get that a lot of times after a frontal boundary. KSAT 12-hour forecast. We start off in the 50s and 60s this morning. We make it up to 86 by noontime. It is going to be a day. We're expecting to make it close to 94, 95 for a high this afternoon with clear skies and those southerly winds anywhere from 5 to 10 miles per hour. Coming up on that Memorial Day weekend forecast, what does the beach look like? We'll give you some updates there and also check in on where we stand for the month of May and how temperatures are going to average out. That forecast here in just a bit, guys.
Justin, thank you very much. Now back to the investigation into the Uvalde mass shooting. New information this morning from the press says that witnesses to the shooting say police hesitated to go inside the school as it was happening.
The AP says frustrated onlookers urged police officers to into the elementary school and even considered rushing into the school themselves since they say police were not moving in quickly enough.
More on that throughout the morning. Meanwhile, ABC's Matt Gutman, the suspect's grandfather, who says his family had no idea what was going to happen.
Investigators say the suspected Texas elementary school shooter bought those two AR-style rifles on 2 separate days. The first one on May 17th, just a day after his 18th birthday, and the other 3 days later on May 20th. Purchased just days before the rampage at Oasis Outback, a local sporting goods store. Authorities say the 18-year-old suspect legally purchased those ARs without a license, as well as multiple 30-bullet magazines and at least 375 rounds. The sale of large-capacity magazines and bullets is not regulated in Texas. Earlier, officials said the gunman was wearing body armor, but now correcting themselves, saying it was tactical gear, a vest designed to carry ammunition, but not protective plates or fabric. His grandfather telling me he knew nothing about the weapons.
I didn't know he had weapons or nothing or this or that there. If I would have known, I would have reported him.
You would have reported your own grandson?
Yes, because I'm against all that.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott saying the suspect had no known mental health history, insisting that law enforcement had no warnings.
There was no meaningful forewarning of this crime.
Investigators are combing through the suspect's social media history, where he allegedly posted videos of himself abusing animals, as well as photos of guns. His classmate Nathan Romo telling me the suspect had stalked him, threatened to kill him after he ended their friendship.
In the back of your head, did you think, well, if there was anybody at school who would have done that, it's this kid?
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
So there were signs?
A little bit.
ABC's Matt Gutman reports. On your other morning headlines, the head of the Food and Drug Administration is facing bipartisan fury from House lawmakers over months of delays regarding that baby formula shortage. They are investigating problems at the nation's largest baby formula plant that prompted the ongoing shortage. FDA Commissioner Robert Califf laid out a series of setbacks in congressional testimony yesterday that slowed his agency's response. That includes a COVID-19 outbreak at the plant and a whistleblower complaint that didn't reach FDA leadership because it was apparently lost in the mail.
The statue of George Floyd was unveiled in Houston's Tom Bass Park yesterday on the second anniversary of Floyd's death. Former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin was convicted of second-degree murder for killing Floyd on May 25th of 2020. The killing sparked nationwide protests and new calls for police reform. Floyd grew up in Houston's 3rd Ward and was buried in Houston next to his mother. The Floyd Family Foundation was involved in the creation of the $110,000 sculpture.
In Arizona, 500,000 fentanyl pills off the streets after a major drug bust. It happened about an hour south of Phoenix after police stopped an SUV for speeding. Police say a canine officer and his handler discovered 500,000 pills concealed in vitamin supplement bottles, along with a handgun and a large amount of cash. 2 people were arrested. They face several charges, including possession, child endangerment, and misconduct involving weapons. 2 minors were in the SUV at the time of the arrest. They are now in the custody of the Arizona Department of Child Safety. 439, about 59 degrees.
Still ahead, a look at a special ceremony that honored the 21 shooting victims from Robb Elementary in Uvalde.
And traffic cam right now showing things around town on TransGuide 410 at Ray Ellison Boulevard. Light traffic in that part of town. Roads are dry, which is a big change from yesterday morning.
59 degrees, another big change. Those cool temperatures, feeling nice outside. Will things heat up? Justin will have our forecast when we come back.
442 is a lot of motion last night for the Uvalde school shooting victims at Main Plaza.
People there were hugging each other, praying, and they stood in silence as a bell rang in honor of those shooting victims. Well, that bell rang once every minute for the 21 victims killed. Some took the time to mourn together.
It's all of us in it together, and that is just lifts my spirits a little bit. And, you know, it doesn't fix the problem, but it does make it feel, you know, a lot easier to tackle when there's more people to help.
During the vigil, some took the opportunity to protest gun policy. Others said more should be done in our country about mental health. 443, 59 degrees.
Well, up next, we hear from two high-level counselors who explain how getting help quickly after tragic events can help you more than you may think in the future.
446, many of us watching the scene unfold in Uvalde are feeling confused, angry, maybe even hopeless. However, professionals say those closest to trauma likely feel numb, and that is actually normal.
Courtney Friedman spoke with two high-level counselors who explain how getting help now can soften a rough road ahead.
When the pain is too overwhelming and nothing makes sense, our bodies respond.
What happens initially when someone goes through a trauma is their brain sort of shuts down and they go into automatic survival mode.
It's a stage of grief that leaves many people feeling numb.
They really need to get through that stage, get through the funeral, get back into a routine, and that's when we can look at some of those more perhaps longer-term therapies.
Ashley Jesse with the Children's Bereavement Center counseled many Sutherland Springs community members and still does today. She hopes people suffering in Uvalde will get help now if they can.
Our counselors have been available for the families and the community at large and law enforcement in Uvalde since yesterday afternoon and into the evening last night. We're back again today.
Ecumenical Center CEO Mary Beth Fisk squeezed in a quick conversation with us from the Uvalde Family Resource Center, where she's helping people attempt to process the unfathomable. But she says that's not the only place people can get this crucial help.
Families come here to the Bereavement Center. They will share a meal out here. Then the adults will come together in here in the living room for a group session. And the kids come up to rooms like this art room to process their feelings together in a creative and healthy way.
Jesse and Fisk say when talking to someone who's endured trauma, the best thing you can do isn't talking. It's listening.
Just being there for someone. And I'm sorry, this is a horrible thing that happened. I'm here to listen to you. I'm here to sit with you. You let me know what you need, and a person will let you know.
In times like this, nothing helps like love, kindness, and empathy. Courtney Friedman, KSAT 12 News.
Well, for you folks just heading now home from the overnight shift, or maybe are an early bird commuter, things look fantastic right now at Loop 410 out there at Ray Ellison Boulevard. But one of the best things about this morning, Sarah Costa, is the fact that you can actually roll the windows down. Can you imagine? It's what, May 26th, and here we are under 60 degrees in the morning?
I'm not complaining about it. I mean, Justin, we've had a phenomenal 2 days of just break from this awful record heat that we've been dealing with for the last 2.5 weeks.
You're right. It feels so good. So good out there. In fact, there's a few spots in the hill country, I think, that could drop into the 40s this morning. The problem with that is it's fleeting. It's just today because we start to see the temperatures heat back up. We've shown this calendar a couple times so far this month. Look at all the records we broke to start May. I mean, several here. In fact, we had 5 days in a row. We had another record on the 21st. Then we had the rainy pattern, if you will, sort of hit, and it brought temperatures down. We had some fronts, and we went below average or average for about 4 days. Now today, we're forecasting to go back above average. I know it's cool this morning, but it's going to be rather hot this afternoon. And I'm predicting that throughout the rest of the month will be above average. If that happens, and if we see the temperatures that we think we will, I have a feeling that this May is going to be one of the hottest on record. We're still running about 6.9 degrees above average, despite this 4-day cool down that we've been experiencing. Just to give you some perspective here, and we've hit over 100 degrees several times here in May. The coolest was yesterday morning, actually is now this morning with temperatures in the low 60s that we've seen. Air quality, we mentioned this earlier, it's an ozone action day, so those who are sensitive to ozone, it is in the unhealthy category today. Did need to pass that along. Otherwise, we go outside and it is a beautiful morning. 60 degrees at the airport, 62 Stinson, 59 right now, Kelly 58 at Randolph, and there's light winds. It's that perfect combination where you get the dry air, light winds, clear skies, and when that happens around here, we typically get those temperatures to fall into pretty comfortable levels. The dew point right now is in the low 50s, which puts us in the pleasant category. You'll find dew points in the 40s there in the hill country. And that means temperatures are in the 50s. 52 Kerrville, 53 Fredericksburg, 58 in New Braunfels. Again, we're at 60 at the airport, but there are some 50s here across Bexar County this morning. Not necessarily jacket weather, but boy, does it feel great. Those low temperatures are going to moderate next few days, so we see more moisture starting tomorrow. With those added levels of humidity, you're going to see the overnight lows go back up above average by the time we get into the weekend, and it's going to feel more like South Texas. Here's the setup. Big area of low pressure across the middle part of the country. Dry air funneling down behind it, and then out ahead of it, you've got showers and storms this morning. This is going to be a slow-moving system. Severe weather possible from Atlanta up to Indianapolis and Chicago this afternoon. But we're on the dry side of things, and with dry air, we know how this works, right? It's cool in the morning, but by the afternoon, it's going to be toasty yet again. By midday, 86, and then this afternoon, we're close to 94 degrees for a high. And as we head into the weekend, gets even hotter. 97 tomorrow, 98 Saturday, 98 on Sunday. We're going to see some triple digits around the area, at least in spots over the weekend. Memorial Day, 95. We will see more humidity, especially during the afternoons by Tuesday and Wednesday. Doesn't mean rain, though. As I mentioned, we're probably going to finish May with it being one of the hottest Mays on record.
Yeah, have not lost sight of that fact for sure. So I was just going to kind of enjoy the moment this morning.
Exactly. We've got to soak it in because this is it. This is it. Yeah.
All right, due for a rapid warm up. Thank you very much, Justin. 452, about 59 degrees.
Well, up next, an update on the Johnny Depp-Amber Heard defamation trial and when the case is finally expected to end.
Lottery numbers this morning. Take a look. Pick 3 numbers 470, Fireball 3. Daily 4 numbers 4164, Fireball 3.
Cash 5, 9, 16, 24, 29, 31. Texas Lotto, 19, 20, 26, 37, 38, 44. Powerball 19, 28, 39, 42, 57. Powerball 17, Power Play 3. Supermodel Kate Moss testified in her ex-boyfriend's defense in the Johnny Depp-Amber Heard defamation trial. ABC's Trevor Ault has the details in today's GMA First Look.
In this morning's GMA First Look, high-profile testimony from supermodel Kate Moss.
How do you know Mr. Depp?
I had a relationship with him.
Taking the stand remotely on behalf of Johnny Depp, addressing a rumor Amber Heard brought to the stand earlier this month that Depp had pushed Kate Moss down the stairs when they were dating in the 90s.
I just, in my head, instantly think of Kate Moss and the stairs, and I swung at him.
But Moss described a different fall she took during a trip with Depp to Jamaica.
As I left the room, I slid down the stairs, and I hurt my back.
Depp says the claims Heard made against him are false. But where do things stand as the trial will soon come to a close? We'll talk live to legal analyst Dan Abrams coming up at 7 a.m. With your GMA First Look, I'm Trevor Ault, ABC News, New York.
456, about 59 degrees.
Well, still ahead on GMSA, in the wake of the shooting in Uvalde, the gun debate is the talk of lawmakers once again. Find out why any new legislation on the issue may be unlikely.
And many showed up at the Uvalde County Fairplex for a special vigil last night to remember those lost in the shooting.
Taking a look out at the roads, a lot of cars there on 410 and Ray Ellison for this time in the morning. Stephen Cavazos just walked into studio. He'll have our update on our traffic in just a bit.
It is intolerable and it is unacceptable for us to have in the state anybody who would kill little kids in our schools.
All of us in it together, and that is just lifts my spirits a little bit. And it doesn't fix the problem, but it does make it feel a lot easier to tackle when there's more people to help.
I pray that God will give them the strength to get through it, and it's difficult. I can't imagine what they're feeling.
Amen. Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, May 26th.
Thank you so much for joining us. Justin Horn is standing by with our forecast. But first,
our special coverage continues this morning. No doubt about the impact of Tuesday's mass shooting in Uvalde has made on people all over the world. But that pain is now on display outside the school where 21 people were killed.
It is in the form of balloons, flowers, and crosses. Katrina Weber is live outside Robb Elementary. Katrina, you were talking earlier about the man who made those crosses. It sounds like it was a labor of love.
Yeah, it definitely sounds that way based on what I was told by a DPS trooper. Now, that trooper has been out here all night long, and he says the man who made the crosses spent all day working on them. They are hand-painted, and they all have the names of victims on them. Each one has the name of the victim. Now, the investigation work, meanwhile, continues. Yesterday, we learned more about what happened here Tuesday afternoon. Investigators revealed that all 21 people who were killed, 19 children and 2 teachers, were inside the same classroom. They say the 18-year-old gunman had fired at a security guard outside, then shot at 2 DPS troopers inside before locking himself in that classroom with the victims. They say he then began shooting all the children and teachers. And again, 21 people died, several others recovering both at home and in the hospital. But some people may never recover mentally from what happened here. And again, that pain very evident in the display behind me. Now, the trooper who I spoke to told me that along with those crosses, there were other people who brought mementos here, those balloons and candles all left as a sign of respect for the people who were wounded and also died. Reporting live in Uvalde, Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
Katrina, thank you very much. This morning, the scene in Uvalde still being processed, requiring a lot of resources. We know Bexar County Sheriff's Office has been active in assisting law enforcement agencies as well as families affected by this tragedy.
Our Jonathan Cotto joins us live this morning. Jonathan, do we know what role the deputies are playing?
Yeah, well, right now we know they are playing both a vital and difficult role assisting the families of the deceased children. We know that Bexar County Sheriff's Office has sent down 5 deputies and a sergeant down to Uvalde to assist. And we know that aside from helping the families, they will also be assisting in the processing of the extensive crime scene. Now, Bexar County Sheriff Javier Salazar says the deputies will be going from door to door asking if anyone has any video of the incident. The Sheriff's Office has also sent 3 chaplains on ground. 2 have been sent to Uvalde and 1 is attending to the wounded at hospitals here in San Antonio. Now, Salazar also said they will be increasing law enforcement presence around schools here in the area and will continue to do so until each school finishes off this last week. We'll have more on these security measures coming up later on GMSA. Reporting live, Jonathan Cotto, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Jonathan. Over 2,000 people filled the Uvalde County Fairplex with an interfaith vigil last night put on by the Baptist Temple Church in Uvalde. Governor Greg Abbott, Senator Ted Cruz, and gubernatorial candidate Beto O'Rourke were among those in attendance. The Fairplex was filled to the max. It was standing room only. People of all ages felt the need to come out and support the families hurting with prayers and each other. Pastor Tony Grubin, the Baptist Temple Church, read Psalm 46, reminding this town that God is with them.
I pray that God will give them the strength to get through it, and it's difficult. I know it's hard. I can't imagine what they're feeling.
We're here and we're praying for them. That it's not, to me, it's like it's not enough. That we're just here for them and that we're together.
Well, many of those in attendance were children who were grieving the loss of their classmates, some of them holding signs with the names of the victims. The pastor says there's no words that can be said that are enough to stop the aching hearts, but the community is standing together. And this is a story that we will continue following as it develops. And our mission is to bring you the very latest. For all the updates, all that information, just take out your phone. You can scan this QR code, and it'll take you right to everything we know so far. This article is updated with information we've developed throughout the past few days, and we will continue to update it as that information comes in.
Well, switching gears, let's go to Justin Horn, who has some unseasonably cool temperatures to report this morning, but there is a big catch.
Big warm up this afternoon. It feels great right now. Get out, enjoy it, go for that morning run. Temperatures are in the 50s and 60s, but by this afternoon, even though it's not going to be humid, but with the dry air, our temperatures are going to race up into the mid-90s by the time it's all said and done. 60 degrees right now, 61 in New Braunfels. We do have 50s on the map. It is 51 in Kerrville right now. Almost jacket weather. 53 in Fredericksburg and 64 right now in Del Rio. A little closer look here around Bexar County. Plenty of 50s on the map. Port SA at 58, Randolph at 58, Helotes right now at 57. And if you're watching us from Bernie this morning, temperatures are in the low 50s there. Pollen count yesterday was just mold, and it had jumped up pretty significantly. 2,180 because of the recent rains. Probably going to stay elevated today, but should be on its way down now that things are drying out. Here's a look at the forecast temperatures. By noontime, we're up around 86 here in San Antonio. And by this afternoon, there are those hot temperatures. 94 here in San Antonio, 96 in Floresville, 88 in Lakey, and 92 this afternoon in Bandera. As we head into the Memorial Day weekend, I can say that there's going to be some pretty good travel weather across the state if you do plan on hitting the roads. But with more information on this morning's commute, let's check in with Steven. How are you doing this morning?
Hey, doing good, Justin. Thank you so much. And let's get a look at the roadways. Pretty quiet from what we've been spotting on these TransGuide cameras. 35 there at Loop 410. Off to a decent start for this Thursday morning, but we know some folks have to head out the door, and we're seeing that right there on those TransGuide cameras. Was also spotting some road work that's continuing off 1604 and Bandera. Right now, though, elsewhere around town, looks pretty quiet. So let's just go ahead and show you the map, because thankfully, that is reflected as what we're seeing right here on the screen. Nothing is going to cause any slowdowns for that early morning drive. So just keep in mind, there's still several active construction zones, and we're going to get to that a little bit later on in this newscast, and those will continue throughout the day and up until the weekend. But right now, looks like you're in the clear, and if your destination is the Alamo City, well, we do have these inbound times for you. Right now, that journey from Bernie is a 25-minute drive time in those eastbound lanes of I-10. If you're heading on 281 southbound, you can expect a 27-minute drive time heading in from Bulverde, and we're looking at 26 minutes on I-35 heading in from New Braunfels. But one last drive here around town, 281 at Bitters. The morning is off to a quiet start, but again, those active construction zones, we'll have more details on that coming up in the next few minutes. There's one right there. Mark, Sarah.
Stephen, thank you very much. Good to see you this morning. One of your other morning headlines, reality TV star Josh Duggar has been sentenced to more than 12 years in federal prison on child porn charges. The former star of TLC's 19 Kids and Counting was found guilty by an Arkansas jury back in December. Even after his release from prison, Duggar will be under close supervision for 20 years and will not be allowed to be left alone with minors, including his own children. The Duggar family's reality TV series was canceled in 2015 following revelations that Josh had molested 4 of his sisters as a teen. Prosecutors had pushed for an even longer prison sentence. The 34-year-old Duggar's legal team says he continues to maintain his innocence and plans to appeal his conviction.
2 more monkeypox cases have been confirmed, this time in Utah. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says this means there's at least 3 patients in the U.S. with the disease. The other case was reported in Massachusetts. Several states, including Florida, New York, Washington, and California, all have suspected cases. The World Health Organization says more than 250 people in at least 16 countries have monkeypox. Most are in places where there's usually not an outbreak. The CDC has now issued a travel alert advising all travelers to avoid close contact with sick people and wild animals. The agency says the risk is still low to the public.
509, about 60 degrees at San Antonio International Airport.
Well, the tragedy in Uvalde has reignited the debate over guns in America once again. Up next, why the passage of any new gun legislation appears unlikely right now.
Outside with live cam on your Thursday, a day closer to wrapping up the work week and the month of May as we head into the Memorial Day weekend. We'll get another look at the forecast, and here's a hint from Justin. Get ready to crank up the AC. We'll be right back. You're watching GMSA. 512, welcome back in Washington. There may be some progress in tackling the gun rights issue.
New bipartisan talks are underway, but will they be enough? ABC's Aquifer has the latest.
Excuse me.
In Uvalde, a familiar argument over gun safety erupting at this news conference.
Sit down and don't play this stuff.
Beto O'Rourke, a Democrat running for governor, interrupted the current governor, Greg Abbott, calling his response to the shooting totally predictable.
He says this was unpredictable. It was totally predictable, and I predict this will continue to happen when you continue to have a governor who will not stand up for the people of Texas.
But in Washington, the familiar arguments are leading to new discussions, at least for now. Senator Susan Collins, a moderate Republican, has already met with other senators to discuss Maine's so-called yellow flag law, which is similar to red flag laws in other states, allowing authorities to temporarily take guns away from people determined to be dangerous.
I certainly hope that the Senate will take action. This was a horrific crime.
And Republican Senator Mitt Romney is now signaling he's open to revisiting a bill proposed by Democrat Joe Manchin and Republican Pat Toomey, which would expand background checks, including for sales online and at gun shows. Senators Manchin and Toomey introduced the bill after the Sandy Hook school shooting in 2012. The 60 Senate votes needed to pass any new gun legislation still seems highly unlikely, with most Republican senators avoiding questions on the issue yesterday.
Do you support expanded background checks? The majority of Americans support it. Do you support it? The majority of Americans support background checks. Do you support it?
Polls show 56% of Americans support an assault weapons ban, 86% support a red flag law, and 89% support background checks. Texas Governor Greg Abbott once supported a red flag bill in Texas, but backed down from the idea after pressure from Republicans. Since then, Texas has repeatedly loosened its gun laws. Aquifer, ABC News, Washington.
5:14, about 60 degrees.
When we come back, we'll be checking in the roads with Stephen for traffic.
Dad, we got this.
We got this.
I'm gonna check out the town, okay?
We got this.
We got this.
We got this. We got this.
We got this. Life is for living.
We got this.
Let's partner for all of it. Edward Jones.
Before Nexium 24-Hour, Anna could only imagine a comfortable night's sleep without frequent heartburn waking her up. Now, that dream is her reality. Nexium 24-Hour stops acid before it starts for all-day, all-night protection. Can you imagine 24 hours without heartburn?
For people who are a little intense about hydration, Neutrogena Hydro Boost. Lightweight, fragrance-free, 48-hour hydration for that healthy skin glow. Neutrogena, for people with skin.
5:18, welcome back and good morning. Stand by for a Memorial Day weekend forecast with Justin.
But I also know people are going to be out on the road, Stephen. And right now, earlier we saw some lights on the roads. Is that situation cleared up?
Doesn't look like just yet, Sarah. Right now, people that are getting out on the roadway can expect some active construction zones. As we get that look around town, 37 at Houston, doesn't look too bad there. You're basically going to have the roads to yourself. Also there at 37 at Hackberry. But as we get a wider look around town, we are seeing, for instance, here, 1604 at Petrenko. Again, another area where we are seeing that road work that is taking place. Let's go ahead and take you to the map because you can see several of those zones also taking place around the city along 35 and 1604. But let's go ahead and talk about what is happening here along I-10 over on the east side of San Antonio. We're going to see some barrier installations. Now, keep in mind, drivers, that is current. It started on Monday, but should be wrapping up on Friday, May 27th. It's overnight from 8 in the evening to 6 in the morning. You'll see a single westbound main lane closure from FM 465 to Zool Road. So keep that in mind. We still have another day to go of that, but we should be seeing crews wrapping up that project pretty soon. But one last drive here around town, 1604 Bandera. We did have some road work there. That looks like it's cleared up. Guys?
Thank you, Stephen.
Jinx.
Justin, all right, tell us what's going on as we go into Memorial Day weekend. A lot of people have outdoor plans.
Exactly. It's going to be hot. The weather's going to cooperate in the sense that we'll see a lot of sun. Just know that the temperatures will be up there, upper 90s. If you're heading down to the beach, it really is a great weekend for that. Water temperatures are really comfortable. We're in the upper 70s to mid 80s as far as the water temperature is concerned. Temperatures down there around Port A and Corpus Christi are going to be in the mid 80s each and every day. Those waves 3 to 4 feet, maybe getting a little higher Sunday into Monday as winds pick up some. And also keep in mind there is a rip current risk down there right now. So if you're heading out there, again, a pretty good weekend for the beach. And speaking of the tropics, NOAA put out their hurricane forecast a couple days ago, and here's what they're thinking: 14 to 21 named storms, which is above average, 6 to 10 hurricanes, which is above average, and 3 to 6 major hurricanes, again, above average. Colorado State put their forecast out earlier. Same story, above average. It's La Nina. La Nina years typically give us more active hurricane seasons, but this is the 7th season in a row that NOAA has predicted above average conditions out there. So we know that the hurricane season, tropical season, should be fairly active. Of course, that gets underway June 1st. We're right there. We're almost there. Nothing out there at the moment. Live look outside. We've got 60 degrees at the airport, 62 Stinson, 58 Kelly, 58 at Randolph. What a great morning. We've got clear skies and dry air, and that's allowing those temperatures to really fall off. Pleasanton, as we speak, just dropped down to 60, 50 in Kerrville. Could we see 40s this morning? It's possible. 52 Junction, 61 in Rock Springs. A little closer look at Bexar County. We're at 61 in Castroville, 62 Stinson, and we are seeing some 50s in places like Helotes and over at Randolph this morning. Dew-point trend. Dew points aren't going to get that high today. We stay in the pleasant category for the most part. Next few days, you'll see the dew points come up in the morning, come down in the afternoon. That's going to allow for some morning clouds, but plenty of afternoon sun. So over the weekend, if you're up early, you may notice some clouds, but they won't last very long. Here's the situation. We've got a big area of low pressure. This is what brought us our storms yesterday, moving across the middle part of the country, but slowly. So out ahead of it, a lot of moisture. The showers and storms stretching from New Orleans up to Memphis, Atlanta, and then up into the Great Lakes this morning. That's where there will be probably some severe weather this afternoon. But we're on the backside of things here in Texas in a very dry flow. You see temperatures in the 50s in Dallas, Oklahoma City, 53. It's 44 in Denver this morning. And across Texas, some really pretty nice weather. I mentioned earlier, if you're doing some traveling, maybe you're heading out tomorrow or over the weekend, most of Texas is going to see quiet weather for Memorial Day weekend. Here's our KSAT 12-hour forecast: 67 at 8 o'clock, and by noontime, 86. It is going to get hot this afternoon, 94. Southerly winds anywhere from 5 to 10 miles per hour, and from there, we only go up. 97 Friday, 98 Saturday, 98 Sunday. We'll see some triple digits in spots across the area over the weekend. And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll start to see moisture return even in the afternoon, so it gets a little more sticky next week. Unfortunately, no rain associated with that.
I'm still mind blown that some of the cities in the hill country could see temperatures dip below 50 degrees this morning.
And I think normally we'd be like, okay, that's, we're still in May, but the way May has gone so far, this feels really good.
Extreme. I switched back from iced coffee to hot coffee the last 2 days.
Oh, good choice.
Yeah.
A little chilly for the iced coffee.
Mother Nature's
like 3 coats.
Yeah.
Exactly. And Mother Nature returns with a vengeance in the coming days, doesn't she?
Yes, she does.
Thank you, Justin. 523, about 61 degrees.
Take a look at these lotto numbers. Pick 3, 470, Fireball 3, Daily 4, 4164, Fireball 3.
Cash 5 numbers 9, 16, 24, 29, 31. Lotto Texas 19, 20, 26, 37, 38, 44. And we have your Powerball numbers: 19, 28, 39, 42, 57. Powerball 17, Power Play 3. A couple of stories we're following on KSAT.com. Hillcrest Memorial Funeral Home in Uvalde is assisting families affected by this school shooting by offering free funeral services for victims. In a statement on Facebook, the funeral home says, quote, "We have fought together as a community and we will pull together as one now in our time of need." The post ends with a prayer for our small, amazing town, #Uvalde Strong. Hillcrest Memorial Funeral Home located at 424 Geraldine Street in Uvalde.
And therapy dogs from San Antonio are in Uvalde offering support to members of the grief-stricken community. The dogs are with the Therapy Animals of San Antonio and all volunteer nonprofit organizations. Dogs like Scout, a 6-year-old female therapy dog, have been made available at the Uvalde Civic Center to offer support. You can read more about this story right now on KSAT.com.
Exactly 5:28 on your Thursday morning.
Still ahead on GMSA, our special coverage continues on the school shooting in Uvalde. We'll have the latest on the suspect investigation and what is being done now to help those who are suffering.
Plus, the latest on the baby formula shortage and when federal health regulators expect the problem to finally come to an end.
She was the sweetest little girl who did nothing wrong. She listened to her mom and dad. She always brushed her teeth. She was creative. She made things for us. She never got in trouble in school.
The Lord is near to the brokenhearted, saves the crushed in spirit.
Our job is to ensure that the community is not going to be ripped apart. All Texans must come together and support the families who have been affected by this horrific tragedy. What they need now more than ever is our love.
And a good morning to you. It is Thursday, May 26th. Grief and shock may be the best way to describe what many people are feeling in the wake of Tuesday's mass shooting in Uvalde. While some mourn privately, others have put their feelings on display outside the school in the form of balloons, candles, and crosses.
Our Katrina Weber is live outside of Robb Elementary. Now, Katrina, sadly, this is not the first time we have seen crosses like those in our area.
Well, you are right, Sarah. This looks a whole lot like what we saw after the Sutherland Springs church shooting. These crosses, though, according to a DPS trooper, were made by a local man here in Uvalde. He says that man spent all day making the crosses, then brought them out here late last night. He was able to show his respect through his handiwork. Now, meanwhile, I spoke to another local man yesterday who says he's sorry he couldn't do more. Moments before the 18-year-old gunman unleashed his attack on students and teachers at Robb Elementary School, Albert Vargas says he had a scary encounter with that same suspect. He says he tried to help the suspect after he crashed his pickup in a ditch. Instead, he says the gunman pulled out an assault rifle and fired at him and 2 other people.
Came out with an automatic weapon, shot at least twice, maybe 3 times at them, and then that's when he spotted me, and boy, I was already in motion to run, and that's when he, bam, bam.
Now, Vargas shared his video with us that he captured on his cell phone. It shows the suspect's crashed pickup and the weapon that he left behind. Now, Vargas says after shooting at him and the other people, the gunman pulled out a second rifle and ran away. Now, Vargas says at the time he had no idea that gunman was headed here to Robb Elementary. And he says the sad thing is if this has happened only last week, he could have been able to stop him. And Vargas says he usually carries a handgun inside his own car, but he took it out of that just a couple of days ago. But he said had he had it with him Tuesday, he definitely would have used it. Reporting live in Uvalde, Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
Katrina, thank you. Well, it goes without saying the school shooting has sent shockwaves all across our state.
And one of those communities is unifying everyone from police to city leaders in an effort to remember the victims. Our Jonathan Cotto joins us live with the latest on a vigil put together by the Petite community. Good morning, Jonathan.
Good morning, Sarah. Good morning, Mark. Well, it really is in these unfortunate times that we see the best in humanity. Our local communities displaying a heartwarming solidarity amid a heartbreaking situation. Last night, the Poteet community cried, they sang, they mourned. More importantly, they supported each other during the vigil. Words of encouragement were given by several ministers and pastors as the community attempts to process such a terrible event. A table could be seen with the names of the victims, a battery-powered candle beside it. 2 Poteet police officers could also be seen standing, one on each side of the table, as if standing guard for the victims. Now, the gathering lasted about 45 minutes long, and we're expecting to see more vigils like this one take place here locally, across this state, and even across the country. Reporting live, Jonathan Cotto, KSAT 12 News.
All right, Jonathan, thank you very much. This will be a story we continue to monitor. Our mission is to bring the very latest. For all the up-to-date information, scan the QR code on your screen. It'll take you right to everything we know so far. This article is updated with info we've developed throughout the past few days, and we will continue to update it as more information comes in.
All right, switching gears, we're going to head out to Justin. And Justin, you're saying enjoy the cooler temps for now.
For this morning, and that's it, because by this afternoon, we're in the mid-90s. It heats up very rapidly today. Do also need to point out that today is one of those ozone action days, so the air quality is unhealthy for those who are sensitive to that kind of thing. Folks with asthma, we always point that out. And a lot of times we'll see this situation behind a weak frontal boundary, and that's kind of where we sit today. So heads up, ozone action day underway today. 60 degrees at the airport. We did briefly fall into the 50s this morning. 50 right now in Kerrville. We'll see if we fall into the 40s there. What a beautiful morning. Clear skies, dry air is allowing these temperatures to really drop off. 52 Bernie Stage, 50 in Comfort. We're sitting at 61 in New Braunfels. It was in the 50s there last hour. 59 at 7 o'clock, but we warm up very quickly. 82 by 11 o'clock. We're in the mid to even upper 80s by noontime. We know with dry air that this happens. Cool in the morning, but always warm in the afternoon. We should be close to 94 for a high today with sunny skies and light winds out of the south, 5 to 10 miles per hour. School's starting to wind down, but is traffic still picking up this morning? Let's check in with Stephen for the latest there.
Hey, good morning, Justin. Well, unfortunately, right now we do have an incident that is working near I-10 at Hackberry. I was just talking to our friends at TransGuide. I saw some flashing lights out there. They are moving the camera around, so it's likely we'll see this shot change in the next few moments. Traffic clear in this area, but we are seeing reports of a crash that was reported just moments ago. So you can see right now, traffic is starting to pick up, and we are starting to see more people out on the roadways. So we'll have to bring you that information in the next few minutes. But thankfully, elsewhere around town, we're not spotting any other issues or delays. You're basically going to have the roads to yourself. But keep this in mind. We still have those construction zones. We also have this new crash. So drivers, always be alert before you get out on the roadways. Now, let's take a look at those travel times, because thankfully no delays just yet. If your destination is San Antonio, 30 minutes heading in from I-10 in Seguin, right now in those westbound lanes, 22 minutes on 87 coming in from Lavernia. And right now we're looking at a 28-minute drive time heading in from Floydisville. But again, I-10 at Hackberry, a possible problem spot. We're going to work to bring you more details coming up in the next few minutes. Mark, Sarah.
Thank you very much. And New Zealand's Prime Minister sharing what her country's government did to enact gun reform after a mass shooting. Jacinda Ardern's in the U.S. on a trade mission. But talk quickly turned to following the mass killing of those children and teachers at the Texas elementary school. She spoke with Democratic and Republican politicians in Washington about her actions following a 2019 mosque shooting in Christchurch. Ardern and New Zealand have been praised for passing stricter gun laws within days of the tragedy.
An American giant in the sportswear industry is moving out of Russia. Nike says it will not renew or enter into any new business commitments in the country. That includes its franchise Up and Run. The company pointed to, quote, operational challenges in Russia. The decision comes as Russia continues its invasion of Ukraine. Other multinational businesses have taken similar steps, including Starbucks and McDonald's. Nike says it will provide pay continuity to affected employees.
Rosie the Rocketeer has ended her historic test mission for NASA. The crash test mannequin dressed in a spacesuit returned to Earth yesterday aboard Boeing's Starliner. The spacecraft landed in a remote part of the desert in New Mexico after it undocked from the International Space Station. Rosie was the only crew on board the Starliner for this test mission. Boeing hopes to fly its first load of real astronauts to the ISS by the end of this year.
All right, it's 5:39 and 61 degrees.
Up next, find out how our elected leaders recently voted when it came to gun legislation.
61 degrees, Justin says, enjoy it now because things are going to get back to their usual status, hot. He'll let us know how warm things will get and have a Memorial Weekend forecast when we come back.
542, welcome back. As you may know by now, the massacre in Uvalde has reignited the gun violence debate here in Texas.
The state's most recent legislative session saw an influx of bills signed into law specifically on firearms. Our Defenders Unit scoured policymaking records to find out how our elected state leaders voted.
Our Dylan Collier takes a closer look.
First up, Senate Bill 162, the so-called lie and try bill. This made it a felony in Texas for would-be gun buyers to lie on federal background checks. The bill had strong bipartisan support in Austin. The only no from our area came from Hill Country Republican State Representative Kyle Biederman. Biederman, who was videotaped near the steps of the U.S. Capitol during last year's insurrection, did not seek re-election. Senate Bill 313, which exempts firearm safety equipment from state sales tax, garnered even greater support, as we couldn't find a single elected state official from San Antonio and the surrounding counties who voted against it. House Bill 1927, known as constitutional carry, allows Texas residents to carry a handgun in public without a license, unless they're prohibited by state or federal law from possessing a firearm. Area elected leaders were split on this vote. The yeas included Representative Tracy King, whose district includes the town of Uvalde. Nicole Golden is the executive director of Texas Gun Sense.
You know, I don't know how his community feels about it, but I can tell you that most of the people we spoke to were not in support of removing licensing requirements to carry a loaded handgun in public. SB 20, written by New Braunfels Republican Senator Donna Campbell, allows hotel guests to store firearms and ammunition in their rooms. Heralded as a pro-Second Amendment measure, area elected leaders were also split on this act. The nays included Senator Roland Gutierrez, who at one point was listed as an author on the bill, before ultimately voting against it after he says its language changed at the last minute.
That was our Dylan Collier reporting. San Antonio Republican Steve Allison voted yes on all of these bills.
He sent his thoughts and prayers to the Uvalde community on Twitter and canceled a scheduled appearance last night at a fundraiser.
Right now, 544, about 61 degrees.
Up next, an update on the baby formula shortage and what the head of the FDA is saying about the delays getting it back on store shelves.
547 now to new developments in the baby formula shortage. It turns out a mix-up in the mail may have played a crucial role in this crisis.
ABC's Andrea Fujii has those details.
This morning, the FDA blaming its mailroom for what ultimately led to the baby formula shortage crisis. One of the main producers, Abbott, and the FDA facing tough questions on Capitol Hill yesterday.
I'm actually livid. And quite frankly, it's pretty disgusting what we heard.
Back in October, a former employee sent the FDA a report detailing health violations at Abbott's plant in Michigan. But the FDA says it didn't receive the whistleblower complaint until February, 4 months after it got to the agency's mailroom. The FDA blaming the failure on the lack of staffing due to COVID-19.
Literally, we're blaming the mailroom.
It was too slow, and there were decisions that were suboptimal along the way.
By that time, an infant had already died, and 2 others were hospitalized after drinking formula from the Abbott plant. The FDA then inspected the plant in January, finding, quote, egregiously unsanitary conditions.
Bacteria growing from multiple sites, and many signs of a disappointing lack of attention to the culture of safety in this product that is so essential to the lives of our most precious people.
In mid-February, the FDA closed the Abbott facility and the formula was recalled. Since then, more than 40% of baby formula has been out of stock nationwide. Abbott says it will restart production early next month, but it could take 8 weeks, possibly until the end of July, before store shelves are restocked.
I'm not surprised it's going to take you a while to get your act together and clean the place up.
Abbott apologizing.
We are deeply sorry, and we are determined to make sure that this never happens again.
In the meantime, the government has flown in more imported formula, and Abbott says it's coordinating 50 flights a week from its plant in Ireland to. But many parents say it's too little, too late. Andrea Fujii, ABC News, New York.
Time check 5:49.
We're going to check in with Stephen. Any issues out there right now?
Well, earlier, Mark, Sarah, we told you about this crash at I-10 at Pressa, and it does look like we have some good news. It looks like first responders were able to clear that out. Very dark out there, but what we were able to make out while we saw those flashing lights was that this was under that overpass, and you can see that we still have some emergency lights that are being by that TransGuide camera. Right now, traffic not really impacted so much, but we know that that was in the eastbound lanes of I-10 near Pressa Street. So drivers, just be on the lookout. We still do see those emergency lights on from that vehicle, so just watch out. But other than that, the morning as we inch closer to 6 a.m. is off to a decent start, but you can see on the northwest side that crash icon near 1604 and 410. We'll find out how that really impacts traffic, but doesn't look too bad as of yet. Right now, just again, Commute, especially if you are going to be traveling through 410 on the east side of San Antonio. Concrete work is taking place. Now, this will continue up until May 30th, so we still have a few days to go. But 8 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon is when you can expect some alternating southbound 410 frontage road lane closures. That's between I-10 and East Houston Street. Of course, that information is already on our website, along with other closures at ksat.com/traffic. But right now, I-10 at Pressa, we still see some flashing lights. Just remember to move over and slow down. Guys.
Thank you, Stephen.
Hey, Justin, I was really excited to check my rain gauge when I got home yesterday, and it was like just under an inch of rain, but that it's not what we need. We need a lot more to get out of this drought.
It's a very good point. It put a small dent in our deficit. We needed a lot more of that. And as we head into the summer, we know how things generally dry out. And I got to tell you, the 7-day forecast is pretty dry. The aquifer did get a bump. It was a small one, but it got a bump. We're at 646.2 today. Unfortunately, it's already starting to fall again. So we're still very much within stage 2, once a week watering. You know the drill, between 7 and 11 in the morning, 7 and 11 p.m. And of course, it is with your address, your day of the week, that last number in your address. So that's where we stand on the aquifer. We know how bad May has been when it comes to the heat. This is a look at the calendar, and the days here in red show above average, which was every day all the way through the 21st. We set all sorts of records. And then we had some of that cooler air working with some fronts and some rain. 2nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th yesterday. Now we're forecasting to go back up above average today, and I think we finish out the month above average. If temperatures pan out the way they look, the way I think they will, then May is going to go down as one of the warmest on record here in San Antonio. We are currently about 7 degrees above average. We've had several days where we were in the 100s. The coolest morning so far has been this morning. But after this morning, those morning lows really do start to jump up. Right now, starting to see a little bit of light on the horizon, but boy, is it beautiful. 60 degrees at the airport. Dew point is at 53, northwesterly winds at about 3 miles per hour. We had a good setup this morning. Dry air, clear skies, light winds, and that a lot of times will help those temperatures to fall off. Though dew points right now are in the low 50s in most spots. You'll find some slightly higher numbers down to the south, but really dry air currently across the hill country. And that means temperatures now in the 40s. I was wondering if we would get there. We did. 49 in Kerrville right now, 52 Fredericksburg, 61 in New Braunfels, and 50s and 60s here around the San Antonio area this morning. Low temperature forecast. Well, from here we see things warm up. So tomorrow morning we're at 66, and by Saturday, Sunday, and Monday mornings we're back to average or above average as humidity starts to increase a little bit. The moment that dry air is falling in on the backside of this area of low pressure, this is what brought us the rain yesterday. It's marching east today. Severe weather across parts of the Great Lakes down into the deep south and the Atlanta area, seeing some storms probably this afternoon. We start off in the upper 50s, but we make it into the 80s, mid 80s by noontime, and we top out close to 94 this afternoon, so it will be toasty. 97 Friday, 98 Saturday, 98 Sunday, 95 Monday. So the Memorial Day weekend promises to be hot, mostly sunny, and humidity kicks in a little bit more next week.
So we're back.
We're back.
We're back to what we had been seeing. It was about a 4-day reprieve.
It's a May to remember, or maybe not remember at all.
Right.
Agreed.
All right, thank you. 5:54, about 61 degrees. You're watching GMSA.
Take a look at these Lotto numbers. Pick 3470, Fireball 3. Daily 44164, Fireball 3.
And your Cash 5 numbers 9, 16, 24, 29, 31. Lotto Texas 19, 20, 26, 37, 38, 44. And Powerball 19, 28, 39, 42, 57. Powerball 17, Power Play 3.
Good morning. Coming up here on GMA, new details about the elementary school mass shooting in Texas, what we're learning about the agents who took down the gunman, and about the 19 students and 2 teachers who were killed. We're live there on the scene in Uvalde. Also, what to know before you head out for Memorial Day weekend and the new alternatives to traditional rental cars. Also, Tori Johnson here with Deals and Steals kicking off summer. That and so much more on GMA.
Ahead in the next hour of Good Morning San Antonio, our coverage on the Uvalde Elementary School massacre continues. We'll show you how communities are coming together to remember those victims who lost their lives. TransGuide right now, the sun is slowly coming up. I-10 at Presa is busy right now. Looks like we have a stalled vehicle out there. Try to get some more information on what's going on the highways and byways of South Texas when we come back.
Good morning, I'm Jonathan Cotto. Aside from sending resources down to Uvalde, Bexar County Sheriff's Office amping up their security around schools here in the area. We'll have more on those security measures coming up on GMSA.
Will Congress finally address gun reform on a national level? I'm Mike Ajachi reporting from Washington. Coming up, some encouraging signs from Capitol Hill.
Live from KSAT 12. Good Morning San Antonio starts right now.
And a good morning to you. It is Thursday, May 26th.
We want to get right to our continued coverage on the horrific mass shooting in Uvalde. 19 students and 2 teachers lost their lives.
This morning, there are new reports about people outside very frustrated, urging police officers to charge into that elementary school. That's according to a report from the Associated Press. Witnesses say they can hear people yelling at officers to go inside soon after that attack. Right now, you can read more about this story on KSAT.com. Well, another day could bring new revelations regarding the deadly school shooting in Uvalde, like the one we just told you about. The investigation is ongoing, and so is the mourning.
Our Katrina Weber is live outside Robb Elementary. Now, Katrina, as you've been showing us, the grief that people feel is on full display this morning.
Well, that's right. People have brought balloons and candles as a way to pay their respects. The one man also made those 21 crosses that you see there, each one bearing the name of a person who was killed. Meanwhile, we've learned more about what happened in the moments before, both inside and outside this building. Investigators revealed for the first time yesterday that all of the victims were inside one classroom when they were shot. They say the gunman had fired at a security officer outside, then also at 2 DPS troopers when he made his way inside. The 18-year-old was able to lock himself in a classroom with those students and teachers, and he began shooting them one by one. 19 children and 2 teachers died. Others who were able to, are still recovering from their wounds. Now, many other people in this community and all around the world still feeling a different kind of pain, and nothing is more symbolic than this display here. A DPS trooper told me that the man who made those crosses worked on them all day long and then brought them out here around 10 last night. Now, people all over want to do what they can to help. And for more on that, we go to our Jonathan Cotto with a live report. Jonathan?
Thank you, Katrina. Well, Bexar County Sheriff's Office has been fully involved in the situation of Uvalde from the get-go, and the role right now that deputies are playing are a vital and a very difficult one, assisting the families of the deceased children. Some of the stuff that they are being tasked with and described as heartbreaking. Now, we know Bexar County Sheriff's Office has sent down 5 deputies and a sergeant to the area. We know aside from helping the families, they will be assisting in processing the extensive crime scene. Bexar County Sheriff Javier Salazar says the deputies will also be going from door to door asking if anyone has any video of the incident. And the Sheriff's Office also has 3 chaplains on the ground. 2 have been sent to Uvalde and 1 is attending to the wounded at the hospitals here in San Antonio. Now, Salazar also telling us that there will be an increased law enforcement presence throughout schools here in San Antonio. We'll bring you more on those security measures later on GMSA. Reporting live, Jonathan Cotto, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Jonathan. In Washington, there may be some progress in tackling the gun rights issue.
New bipartisan talks are underway, but will they be enough?
ABC's Ike Ajachi has more.
Excuse me.
In Uvalde, a familiar argument over gun safety erupting at this news conference.
Sit down and don't play this stuff.
Beto O'Rourke, a Democrat running for governor, interrupted the current governor, Greg Abbott, calling his response to the shooting totally predictable.
He says this was unpredictable. It was totally predictable, and I predict this will continue to happen when you continue to have a governor who will not stand up for the people of Texas.
But in Washington, the familiar arguments are leading to new discussions, at least for now. Senator Susan Collins, a moderate Republican, has already met with other senators to discuss Maine's so-called yellow flag law, which is similar to red flag laws in other states, allowing authorities to temporarily take guns away from people determined to be dangerous.
I certainly hope that the Senate will take action. This was a horrific crime.
And Republican Senator Mitt Romney is now signaling he's open to revisiting a bill proposed by Democrat Joe Manchin and Republican Pat Toomey, which would expand background checks, including for sales online and at gun shows. Senators Manchin and Toomey introduced the bill after the Sandy Hook school shooting in 2012. The 60 Senate votes needed to pass any new gun legislation still seems highly unlikely, with most Republican senators avoiding questions on the issue yesterday.
Do you support expanded background checks? The majority of Americans support it. Do you support it? The majority of Americans support background checks. Do you support it?
Polls show 56% of Americans support an assault weapons ban, 86% support a red flag law, and 89% support background checks. Texas Governor Greg Abbott once supported a red flag bill in Texas, but backed down from the idea after pressure from Republicans. Since then, Texas has repeatedly loosened its gun laws. Ike Ajachi, ABC News, Washington.
Over 2,000 people filled the Uvalde County Fairplex for an interfaith vigil last night put on by the Baptist Temple Church in Uvalde. Governor Greg Abbott, Senator Ted Cruz, and gubernatorial candidate Beto O'Rourke were among those in attendance. The Fairplex was filled to the max. It was standing room only. People of all ages felt the need to come out and support the families hurting, praying and hugging each other. Pastor Tony Grubin, the Baptist Temple Church, read Psalm 46, reminding this town that God is with them.
I pray that God will give them the strength to get through it. And it's difficult. I know it's hard. I can't imagine what they're feeling. We're here.
Well, many of those in attendance were children who were grieving the loss of their classmates, some of them holding signs with the names of the victims. The pastor says there's no words that can be said that are enough to stop the aching hearts, but the community is standing together.
Back here in San Antonio, emotions running high last night for Uvalde school shooting victims at Main Plaza.
People were hugging each other, praying and standing in silence as the bell rang in honor of those shooting victims.
That bell rang once every minute for the 21 victims. Some took the opportunity to protest gun violence. Others said more should be done about mental health in our country. Others took time to mourn together.
It's all of us in it together, and that is just lifts my spirits a little bit. And, you know, it doesn't fix the problem, but it does make it feel, you know, a lot easier to tackle when there's more people to help.
Many people leaning on each other for support during this difficult time.
This is a story that will continue to develop, and our mission is to bring you the latest. For all the up-to-date info, scan the QR code on your screen. It'll take you to everything we know so far this morning. The article is being updated with developments throughout the past few days, and we will continue to update it as more information trickles in.
Well, ahead on GMSA, we're going to be staying on top of the tragedy in Uvalde all morning long. We'll have the latest details, and we'll tell you how you can help the people who are impacted most by this horrific event.
And just ahead, San Antonio Crime Stoppers asking for your help in solving several murder cases. We'll have those details.
All right, 61 degrees at 6:08 this morning. Outside with live cam, you can see the sun's just starting to get up. Justin, beautiful morning, but this nice weather isn't going to stick around.
Well, the cool temperatures certainly won't. I mean, we are going to see sun as we head into the afternoon hours. We're seeing the sun coming up right now, clear skies, but sitting at 59 degrees. That's the hourly temperature. 58 in New Braunfels, 50 in Kerrville. It was a cool morning, beautiful morning. And we'll see these temperatures race upwards pretty quickly with dry air in place. You see the numbers around Bexar County right now, 57 in Randolph, 58 in New Braunfels, 66 right now in Canyon Lake, clear skies there. At the pollen count yesterday, mold was high. It was at 2,180. That was because of the rain. I suspect that mold numbers will still be a little bit elevated today, but probably starting to come down some. and we'll get that pollen count in here in about an hour or so. Big swing in temperatures today. That's what happens when we get this dry air, and by 5 p.m. we're expecting to be up around 94 after starting off at 59 degrees this morning. That was reported just a few minutes ago. So you can see that we're going to have about a 35-degree swing in those temperatures. And from here, it only gets hotter. Some big-time temperatures over the weekend. Another look at that Memorial Day weekend forecast coming up. But we head over to Stephen now with some issues there on the roads.
Yeah, we've been seeing a few stalled vehicles out there, Justin, but check out 35 north of Loop 410. We have a great sunrise there. 281 at Sprucewood. The sky's looking really pretty, and so are the roads right now. So if you have to head out the door in the next few moments, enjoy them while you can, because we know that this is the hour where we really start to see a lot of those issues picking up. So let's just go ahead and take you to the map, because right now that trending problem seems to be stalled. So Loop 410 westbound near Vance Jackson Road. Our friends at TransGuide picked up this stall as well off Jackson Keller, but you can see that right now we're not seeing any issues on the map just yet, and those westbound lanes are still green. But not too far from there, if we take a drive a little bit further down Loop 410, we see another stalled vehicle off of Bandera Road. So just as a reminder, check those vehicles before you get out on the roadways and make sure to move over or slow down. Let's go ahead and give you a wide view of the map at 610. You can see, thankfully, no other problems to talk about as we're getting close to that busy time. Travel times also looking like they're in great shape as well. 28 minutes from 37 and Pleasanton in the northbound lanes, 19 on Highway 90 heading eastbound coming in from Castroville, and your arrival from Lytle should be about a 16-minute drive time. So just keep that in mind when you head out the door. Again, great view as far as the sky goes. The roads looking okay as well. We'll have more updates coming up here on GMSA. Mark, Steph, Sarah.
Thank you, Stephen. It's 6:10 and 61 degrees.
Stay with us. We're back in a few minutes.
A deputy is in hot water this morning after he reportedly attacked an inmate, punching him in the face. That's according to Bexar County Sheriff Javier Salazar. Ivan Torres was arrested for assaulting an inmate who had only been in jail for 1 day. We're told Torres ordered the inmate to return to his bunk, but when the man refused, that's when we are told he punched him in the face, causing cuts to his face. Torres is facing charges of oppression and assault. San Antonio police and Crime Stoppers still working to solve a handful of murder cases, and they're asking for your help.
The first case revolves around an incident that happened back on April 8th at a home on Belmont Street, not far from East Commerce on the city's east side. That is where officers say 3 vehicles stopped in the roadway and as many as 10 people got out and started shooting at 66-year-old Clarence Jones. He died at the scene.
The second incident happened on November 17th of last year on Cincinnati Avenue on the city's west side. That's not far from I-10. Investigators say 48-year-old Juan Miguel Mendez Luna was leaving Sombras nightclub when he got into an argument with a person in the street. That person then stabbed the victim several times and left him for dead. Officers believe the suspect left the scene in a Hyundai Genesis that you see on your screen.
Police also looking for the person who shot and killed 47-year-old Frank Mello. This happened October 24th of last year on Southwest 36th Street, near Highway 90 on the west side of town. And that's where investigators say Mello was driving his truck when a person in a dark-colored SUV drove by and started shooting. Mello later died at the hospital.
If you have any information on any of these cases that can help police solve them, you're asked to call that number on your screen right there in the yellow, 210-224-STOP.
Let's check on our Thursday morning commute with Stephen Cavazos.
Things have been quiet so far. Thank you, Mark. Sarah, as we get another look at TransGuide 281 at Sprucewood, you can see quiet roads there. And thankfully here at 281, pretty busy, but no issues to report just yet. But I mentioned a little bit earlier that the trending problem has really been those stalls. So we show you them, one right here off of Loop 410 westbound at Bandera Road. Now, some good news as we get that wide view of the map. That stall we told you about near Vance Jackson has thankfully cleared out, so it's not causing problems for drivers anymore. But just make sure that you look ahead and you plan ahead, especially if you're traveling off Loop 410 on the east side of San Antonio, because a quick reminder, there will be some concrete work taking place. That will finish our wrap, I should say, around May 30th, and that will start at 8 this morning and finish hopefully by 5 in the afternoon. But we know it will be a busy time. Drivers, that's when you can expect that alternating southbound 410 frontage road lane closure there from I-10 to East Houston Street. But keep this in mind, all that information is already on our website at KSAT.com. Just head to the traffic page and scroll down. But as we take one last drive around town, things are looking fine so far. But Justin, it's pretty sunrise as well.
Oh man, it is nice out there this morning. We're enjoying some really comfortable temperatures, 50s and 60s. Over the weekend, though, the heat's going to move back in. It's going to be more like what we saw in early May with those really hot temperatures. It is a great weekend to head down to the beach. If that is in your plans, here's the forecast. The water temperature is anywhere from 80 to 84. I mean, the water temperatures are great. Saturday, 86, 86 Sunday, 85 Monday. You will notice some choppier waves as we get into Sunday and Monday with some stronger winds, and there is a bit of a rip current issue going on down there right now. But all in all, pretty good looking beach forecast if that is in your plans this weekend. And speaking of the tropics, NOAA put out their Atlantic hurricane season forecast a couple days ago, and here's what they're thinking. An above average season with 14 to 21 named storms, 6 to 10 hurricanes, 3 to 6 major hurricanes. That is above the average in all regards. This would be the 7th season in a row they are forecasting above average conditions. Of course, we have La Nina in place that typically lends itself to a busier season. Colorado State put out their forecast earlier this year, and they agree with that sentiment. So it could be busy as we head into hurricane season, and that starts, by the way, June 1st. Outside for you right now, it is really nice. 59 degrees at the airport, 62 Stinson, 59 Kelly. Over at Randolph, 57. Almost jacket weather, not quite, but almost. 50 in Kerrville, 53 Fredericksburg, 58 New Braunfels, 66 right now in Cotulla. And a lot of spots now in Bexar County have fallen below that 60-degree mark. Stinson is at 62, but every other reporting site now in the 50s. 55 Bernie Stage and 49 right now in Comfort. That is chilly. We're going to see these numbers moderate in the coming days as more moisture moves in. But today, it's generally going to be dry. This is look at the dew point throughout the day today, and it doesn't really get out of the 50s. So that keeps us in the pleasant categories. But now we know with dry air what happens, right? It's cool in the morning, typically gets pretty warm in the afternoon, and that's exactly what we're going to be looking at. Dry air coming in on the backside of the storm system, which is going to be a slow mover, and it will produce quite a bit of severe weather today, I think, from Chicago all the way down towards Atlanta. On the backside of it, those cool temperatures have worked in across most places here in Texas. 50s from Midland up to Amarillo, 50 in Wichita Falls this morning. It's in the 50s, Dallas and Waco as well. Here's our KSAT 12-hour forecast. Lots of sun today, 72 by 9 o'clock, and watch how quickly it warms up. 86 by noontime, 88 by 1 o'clock. We're at 90 by 2 o'clock, and there's our high temperature, 94 by 4 and 5 p.m. Southerly wind shouldn't be all that strong today, anywhere from 5 to 10 miles per hour. How does the weekend look? Well, 97 tomorrow. I do think we could see some brief morning clouds Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but it should not be a big deal at all. Generally, a lot of sun, especially in the afternoon. And temperatures Saturday and Sunday will be well above average, 98 both days. There will be some triple digits, I think, around the area. And as we get into Memorial Day, 95, maybe a little bit more humidity in the afternoons, and that lends itself to some more cloud cover Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Unfortunately, it does not bring us any rain. The extended forecast still looks fairly dry. So we're going to finish out May the way we started it, hot and dry.
All right, Justin, thank you. Coming up on GMSA at 9, mental health on the minds of many in the wake of the shootings in Uvalde.
That's why SAISD is holding a mental health awareness walk. This special event was inspired by a Jefferson High School senior who's trying to break the mental health stigma.
Tiffany Huertas will have a preview that's later this morning on GMSA at 9. We'll be back.
What can I do with less asthma? With Dupixent, I can do more. Catching my train. Making moves. Making a connection. Oh, a train connection. That's how you do more with Dupixent, which helps prevent asthma attacks. Dupixent is not for sudden breathing problems. It's an add-on treatment for specific types of moderate to severe asthma that can improve lung function for better breathing in as little as 2 weeks, and can reduce or even eliminate oral steroids. And here's something important. Dupixent can cause allergic reactions that can be severe. Get help right away if you have rash, chest pain, worsening shortness of breath, tingling, or numbness in your limbs. Tell your doctor about new or worsening joint aches and pain or a parasitic infection. Don't change or stop asthma medicines, including steroids, without talking to your doctor. Are you ready to do more with less asthma? Just ask your asthma specialist about Dupixent.
624 other top stories we're following for you today. Reality TV star Josh Duggar has been sentenced to more than 12 years in federal prison on child pornography charges. The former star of TLC's 19 Kids and Counting was found guilty by an Arkansas jury in December. Even after his release from prison, Duggar will still under be close supervision for 20 years and will not be allowed to be left alone with minors, including his own children. The Duggar family's reality TV series was canceled in 2015 following revelations Josh had molested 4 of his sisters as a teen. Prosecutors had pushed for an even longer prison sentence. The 34-year-old Duggar's legal team says he continues to maintain his innocence and plans to appeal his conviction.
Well, 2 more monkeypox cases have been confirmed, this time in Utah. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says this means there's at least 3 patients in the U.S. with the disease. The other case was reported in Massachusetts. Several states, including Florida, New York, Washington, and California, also have suspected cases. The World Health Organization says more than 250 people in at least 16 countries have monkeypox. Most are in places where there's usually not an outbreak. The CDC has now issued a travel alert advising all travelers to avoid close contact with sick people and wild animals. The agency says the risk to the public is low. And we continue to remember the victims in the massacre at Robb Elementary in Uvalde. Pictures are being released daily and stories about those victims continue to come into our newsroom. You can follow the coverage online right now. Just head to our website, KSAT.com. I want to give a shout out to our social media team. They've been posting these posts on individual victims on Twitter with their pictures and a story. I know they're very appreciated by the families and the community.
Agreed. 926, about 61 degrees.
Well, still ahead on GMSA, we'll tell you why a mix-up in the mail may have caused a baby formula shortage crisis.
And our coverage continues from Uvalde. Katrina Weber there now with bringing us the very latest on the massacre that took place on Tuesday.
Taking a look outside with the robes, looks like there's a little bit of issue right there at US 90 and Loop 1604. We see those flashing lights there. Stephen Cavazos will give an update on the conditions of the roads, and we'll have a look with Justin for weather when we come back.
Good morning, I'm Jonathan Cotto. As the situation in Uvalde unfolds, Bexar County Sheriff's Office increasing a law enforcement presence around some schools in our area. We'll have more information for you coming up on GMSA.
Communities in South Texas and the rest of the country still heartbroken this morning over the deaths of 19 children and 2 teachers.
Good morning. Today is Thursday, May 6th.
26th.
Excuse me, 26th.
Yes, ma'am. We want to get right to our continuing coverage of the deadly school shooting in Uvalde that claimed the lives of those students and teachers. This morning, tensions growing after new reports that people outside the school tried to get police officers to charge inside. Witnesses say people were yelling, begging the officers to go into the school after the attack. Some say despite those pleas of those gathered, the officers stayed outside. Some witnesses say the officers are not prepared and should have done more. A story from the Associated Press this morning and from several other outlets. You can read more about it on KSAT.com. Well, the deadly shooting in Uvalde has left people all over the world feeling hurt and helpless. Some of them showing their pain publicly, leaving mementos at the site where students and teachers were gunned down.
Our Katrina Weber is also live outside of Robb Elementary School. Now, Katrina, as you mentioned earlier, one man spent hours making those crosses.
Thank you. Well, we know the situation in Uvalde has put a lot of our local students, parents, and teachers on edge. And for that, the Bexar County Sheriff's Office has increased their law enforcement presence around a lot of the schools in our community, especially those schools in unincorporated areas. So if you're driving around, dropping off your kids at school this morning, you can expect to see an increase in deputies around school zones. We spoke with Bexar County Sheriff Javier Salazar on this matter. Let's take a listen.
We're there mainly just to keep visible presence. We want to make sure that everybody knows that we're there, and if there is anybody getting any funny ideas, not that we've had any threats, don't try it because we're there.
Salazar says their effort is to provide safety and security and encourage everyone driving through school zones to still adhere to speed limits. He says their presence will remain in effect until schools finish off this week. Now, this is only one of the several areas the Bexar County Sheriff's Office has been assisting in this situation. We know they've sent a number of deputies and a sergeant down to the area. Salazar says they will remain in that area and are willing to help in any capacity for as long as they are needed. Reporting live, Jonathan Cotto, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Jonathan. We're going to head right back out to Katrina Weber, who is live outside of Robb Elementary. Katrina.
We were talking about the crosses. There are 21 of them over here. Now, a state trooper who had been here all night and was here when that man who made those crosses brought them says that the man had spent all day. He was here since 8, or he had been working on those crosses since 8 o'clock in the morning. And now this is truly a labor and a symbol of love. Another man who I spoke to, though, says that he wishes he would have done more. That man told me just before the shooting started at Robb Elementary Tuesday afternoon, he was staring down the barrel of that same gunman's rifle. The 18-year-old suspect had crashed his truck into a ditch. Now, that man, Albert Vargas, says he and 2 other people tried to help, but he says the suspect instead tried to hurt them.
Came out with an automatic weapon, shot at least twice, maybe 3 times at them, and then that's when he spotted me, and boy, I was already in motion to run, and that's when he, bam, bam.
Vargas shared a cell phone video with us. It shows the suspect's crash pickup and the weapon he left behind. Vargas says after shooting at him and the other people, the gunman pulled out a second rifle and ran away. Well, at the time, Vargas had no idea that that gunman was headed here to Robb Elementary to shoot and kill people. 21 people died, 19 children, 2 teachers. And Vargas says the sad thing is up until a few days ago, he would have had a gun in his own car. And he says if he had had it with him Tuesday, he definitely would have used it. Reporting live in Uvalde, Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
Katrina, thank you. We're learning more details about the days that led up to the mass shooting, as well as the moments during and after. According to DPS Director Steve McGraw, the shooter legally bought a semi-automatic rifle on May 17th, just days after turning 18. The next day, he bought 375 rounds of ammunition. On May 20th, he bought a second semi-automatic rifle. Then just 4 days later came the carnage. McGraw saying the shooter shot his grandmother in the face. We are still hearing she is alive. The shooter then drove away and crashed near Robb Elementary. Investigators say he was confronted by law enforcement, but managed to get in through a back door and was confronted by law enforcement before getting into the back door of the school. He opened fire, killing 19 kids and 2 adults.
Meanwhile, Governor Greg Abbott held a press conference yesterday saying there was little warning as to what was going to take place at the school. He also said investigators are still trying to find out more information about the suspected shooter.
Reportedly, there has been no criminal history identified yet. He may have had a juvenile record, but that is yet to be determined. There was no known mental health history of the gunman.
Governor Abbott says local officials told him the community has a problem with mental health. As we just mentioned, the gunman in this case bought 2 assault rifles within days of each other before the shooting took place. The governor also spoke about legislation he signed into law that puts more responsibility on school districts to put active shooter protocols into place.
Meanwhile, the NAACP sent a letter to Governor Abbott calling the governor not to attend this week's National Rifle Association conference. The group urging the governor to enact, quote, gun control measures in your state that will save countless innocent lives, including those of children, end quote.
Well, mourning continues across South Texas and across the country for those children and teachers who were gunned down in their classroom in Uvalde.
Sing praise, how sweet the sound.
Well, Well, this was the scene in Poteet, Texas last night as community members came together to remember those who lost their lives in this terrible tragedy. People cried, sang songs, and supported each other during the vigil. Several ministers and pastors were also there to offer words of encouragement as the community tries to process such a horrific event.
The story continues to develop. Our mission is to bring you the very latest. You can scan the QR code. It'll take you right to everything we know. This article updated with information we've developed throughout the past few days, and we will continue to update it as more information comes in.
Well, still ahead on GMSA, there is other news this morning. We're going to tell you about the new details on the baby formula shortage crisis.
Have you been outside yet this morning? You have to go out and check it out, maybe roll down the windows. It's actually chilly in some places this morning. Here's Justin with more on that and a rapid warm up in his forecast.
This is a beautiful morning that's underway. Temperatures are in the 50s and 60s, 59 degrees at the airport this hour. Some places in the hill country have fallen briefly into the 40s this morning. 51 Kerrville, 52 in Fredericksburg, 58 in New Braunfels. A lot of 50s here around Bexar County. Now, this isn't going to last very long. Once that sun is up, temperatures are going to race upwards. We got dry air, and a lot of times that allows those temperatures to really get pretty warm in the afternoon. I do want to pass along that today is an ozone action day. That means the air quality is unhealthy for those who are sensitive to that sort of thing, especially those who have asthma. So we're in that unhealthy category thanks to ozone. As we look at the forecast, should be in the mid 80s by noontime. 86 degrees here in San Antonio, low 80s to our north, and then by this afternoon, I mentioned that rapid warm up. 94, the forecast high. 96 in Somerset, 96 in Elmendorf. You'll be around 89 in Bernie and 89 in Kerrville. And from there, the temperatures get even warmer over the weekend. Some places could be close to 100 by Saturday and Sunday. More on that forecast in just a bit. But let's go over to Stephen now with a look at your morning commute.
Hey, thanks, Justin. Well, things aren't looking so nice here off US 90 at Loop 1604. You can see those flashing lights out there. As we bring the camera in, give you a wider view, we are seeing some first responders that made that scene just minutes ago, and those flashing lights are off in the shoulder lane. But thankfully, traffic is able to move through that area without really any trouble. But keep in mind, this was a crash that was reported earlier, so we hope the driver is okay. No details are available just yet, but let's go ahead and take you right to the map because we can show you as we bring you in that is being picked up near Loop 1604 in those southbound lanes near US 90. So keep that in mind, drivers. If you are traveling in those southbound lanes from 1604, you'll likely encounter those flashing lights. So you know what to do. Move over, slow down. Let's take that drive over here to Loop 410 westbound there at Bandera Road, where we still have that stalled vehicle. It's not causing any problems, but as we get that wide look at the map, or actually we already saw it, pardon me, we saw that there was active construction zones. Good news is here, travel times are green across the board with the exception of Bulverde, 29 minutes, the usual slowdowns for our friends in those southbound lanes, but that's due to that construction. But one last look here. Hopefully we'll have some good updates coming up a little bit later on. US 90 at Loop 1604. Just watch out and make sure to move over or slow down. Mark, Sarah?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Stephen. Time right now is 6:40, about 61 degrees.
Stay with us. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Welcome back. Our coverage of the elementary school massacre in Uvalde will continue both on air and online. But right now, we want to bring you another big story this morning, the baby formula shortage.
Well, it turns out a mix-up in the mail may have played a crucial role in this crisis. ABC's Andrea Fujii has new details.
This morning, the FDA blaming its mailroom for what ultimately led to the baby formula shortage crisis. One of the main producers, Abbott, and the FDA facing tough questions on Capitol Hill yesterday.
I'm actually livid. And quite frankly, it's pretty disgusting what we heard.
Back in October, a former employee sent the FDA a report detailing health violations at Abbott's plant in Michigan. But the FDA says it didn't receive the whistleblower complaint until February, 4 months after it got to the agency's mailroom. The FDA blaming the failure on the lack of staffing due to COVID-19.
Literally, we're blaming the mailroom.
It was too slow, and there were decisions that were suboptimal along the way.
By that time, an infant had already died, and 2 others were hospitalized after drinking formula from the Abbott plant. The FDA then inspected the plant in January, finding, quote, egregiously unsanitary conditions.
Bacteria growing from multiple sites and many signs of a disappointing lack of attention to the culture of safety in this product that is so essential to the lives of our most precious people.
In mid-February, the FDA closed the Abbott facility and the formula was recalled. Since then, more than 40% of baby formula has been out of stock nationwide. Abbott says it will restart production early next month, but it could take 8 weeks, possibly until the end of July, before store shelves are restocked.
I'm not surprised it's going to take you a while to get your act together and clean the place up.
Abbott apologizing.
We are deeply, deeply sorry, and we are determined to make sure that this never happens again.
In the meantime, the government has flown in more imported formula, and Abbott says it's coordinating 50 flights a week from its plant in Ireland to increase supplies. But many parents say it's too little, too late. Andrea Fuji, ABC News, New York.
646, about 61 degrees.
We're going to check in with Stephen Cavazos, the latest on traffic. Stephen.
Yeah, unfortunately, we still have the situation here. Mark Sarah, US 90 at Loop 1604. Let's go ahead and get that camera in a little bit closer, and you can see that those first responders have been out there for a little while. We now have a fire truck out there, so we're hoping that that situation does wrap as the morning does continue. But right now, drivers, just be alert if you are traveling in those southbound lanes. Not sure to make out how many vehicles are involved, but if you take a closer look underneath that pillar there from the bridge, we do see a vehicle that has its emergency lights on. So just make sure you watch out and give those first responders plenty of room. Let's go ahead and take you to the map, because unfortunately we're starting to see that slowdown here in the eastbound lanes of US 90. That crash detected in the southbound lanes there at 1604, but we can see that buildup just continuing to stretch. So we'll have to watch it closely. We're in that hour, in that time where people really start to get out the door. So it's going to get busy here in a few minutes. Let's take a wide look at the map, and you can see that that is what we're basically picking up at this hour. Slowdowns off State Highway 151, and we still have that stall off of 410 near Bandera Road. So just again, stay alert when you get out on the roadways. Hopefully this will wrap before the show wraps, but we'll just have to wait and see. But for now, let's check in with Justin Horde.
Thank you, Stephen. A couple points for Memorial Day weekend as we get a little bit closer. Rivers, lakes, the coast, all going to be busy this weekend. Good weather for it. Temperatures are going to be warm. So if you have plans to perhaps go float the river or go out to some lakes, no, it will be busy with temperatures the way they are. And we started off May so warm. We set all sorts of records, and we had a stretch here where we've had some cooler weather, some rain, some cloud cover, helped to keep temperatures down some, but only about 4 days there where we were below average or at average. I think by today we're going to go back up above average, and we'll finish out the month above average. We're about 7 degrees above average in general for the month of May, and if we finish out the month the way it looks like it will finish out, we're going to see probably the warmest May on record. Pretty impressive. We've had several days here where we were over 100 degrees. The coolest morning so far is this morning, where we've dropped down to 59 degrees here in San Antonio, which is very nice. The Aquifer did get a bump from the rain over the last couple days. Not a huge bump, but a bump nonetheless. We're at 646.2, still very much in stage 2 restrictions. The 10-day average is 644.3. So the Aquifer will probably start to go back down here in the coming days, and we'll see where we end up over the summer. Boy, we do need more rain if we're going to keep that Aquifer where it is. Right now, what a scene outside. 59 degrees at the airport's clear skies. Dew point is at 53, and a light wind out of the west-northwest or north-northwest at about 3 miles per hour. Dew points are in the 40s and 50s, and this is really what has helped us this morning. This dry air allows those temperatures to come down. Now, the flip side to that, it also allows temperatures to warm up very quickly, so we know we're going to see some warm temperatures this afternoon. 59 degrees at the airport, 61 Pleasanton, 66 in Cotulla, 52 right now in Fredericksburg, 55 Bernie Stage, and 67 over there at Canyon Lake. Low temperatures, yeah, they're great this morning, but after today, we'll start to see them warm up. The average is about 70 or so, and these morning lows will jump up above 70 as we head into the weekend and next week as more moisture comes into play, especially during the morning hours. We've got a lot of dry air today because we're on the backside of this storm system. This is the same one that brought us the storms yesterday, now pushing east. There's a lot of storms this morning, stretching from Memphis, New Orleans, over to Atlanta and up towards Cleveland. And this is going to be sort of the zone today where there will be probably some severe weather. Chicago, Cleveland, down towards Atlanta. We stay on the dry side of things, and we'll enjoy some pretty nice weather today, albeit a little warm as we get into the afternoon. By midday today, we're warming up to 86 degrees here in San Antonio, 88 in Forestville, 87 in Seguin, And then by this afternoon, 94 degrees here in San Antonio, 95 in Divine. You'll be at 90 in Hondo, 92 forecast out in Bandera. Here's the extended forecast. 97 Friday, 98 Saturday, 98 on Sunday. Still hot next week, but we added a little more humidity, which brings more cloud cover and brings those afternoon highs down just a little bit. And one more note about Memorial Day weekend. Looking at the travel forecast, that looks good too, although we know the roads will be very busy.
Oh, yeah, they will. Yeah. All right, thanks, Justin. About 10 till 7, 61 degrees on your Thursday morning. We continue to remember the victims of the massacre at Robb Elementary in Uvalde. Pictures are being released daily, and stories about those victims continue to come into our newsroom. You can follow the coverage online right now. Head to our website at KSAT.com.
Good morning. Coming up here on GMA, new details about the elementary school mass shooting in Texas, what we're learning about the agents who took down the gunman, and about the 19 students and 2 teachers who were killed. We're live there on the scene in Uvalde. Also, what to know before you head out for Memorial Day weekend and the new alternatives to traditional rental cars. Also, Tori Johnson here with Deals and Steals kicking off summer. That and so much more on GMA.
Right now, it's just about 6:55.
We're going to check in with Stephen Cavazos one more time before you head out the door.
Unfortunately, this problem didn't clear, Mark, Sarah, US 90 at Loop 1604. It still looks like we are spotting first responders out there from TransGuide. And again, one vehicle that we can spot there underneath the overpass. So just make sure that you watch out and you give them plenty of room. But unfortunately, we are already starting to see that buildup of traffic there in the eastbound lanes of US 90. TxDOT reports this off Loop 1604 southbound. So if you're coming in from Castroville, you'll likely encounter that congestion. But let's go ahead and get you that wide view of the map at 6:55. Some stalls and usual slowdown. So just remember to stay alert. If traveling into San Antonio, though, just about green across the board. We are seeing a 29-minute drive time heading in from 281 southbound, coming in from Bulverde. So just keep that in mind. But US 90 Loop 1604, it does look like traffic is getting by without really any trouble. But we'll have to keep a close eye on things. But Justin, are we going to need the sunglasses today?
Oh, yeah, all day long. I mean, the sun's already starting to pop up now, obviously, and temperatures are really comfortable right now. We're in the low 60s, but by this afternoon, we make it up to 94. Southerly winds at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. So a huge swing in temperatures today. And as we look at the extended forecast, 97 tomorrow. We're close to 100 Saturday and Sunday. The weekend's going to be really toasty. Some morning clouds both days, but lots of sun in the afternoon. More humidity next week. That allows for more cloud cover, but no rain. It is a dry forecast. Looks like it's going to stay dry and hot as we finish out the month of May.
Stephen, Justin, thank you guys.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll be back here for GMSA at 9. GMA is next.
Have a good day.